people. Welcome back to another beautiful episode of Age of Awæcnian, Soulful Stories Unveiled. And look, we are adapting and being resilient with tech, and beautiful Flea has just been finding all these codes and getting us streaming live with our beautiful guests that we have on today, Ariel. And my goodness, it has been so wonderful to see your beautiful face. And Flea, what are you excited about with gorgeous Ariel today?
Well, from the cards that I pulled, a lot lighter and more impactful, joyful, accelerated motion and connection to joy, I feel.
I love that. I love that. And we met Ariel um, before our beautiful summit that we had in April. And she was one of our beautiful speakers. And Ariel is, I just feel this medicine woman in her. And she's deeply grounded and she is a facilitator. She has small group retreats as a certified ceremonial facilitator, psilocybin guide, I said it right, an expert in somatic bodywork, and she has such a wealth of knowledge and experience working with the sacred mushrooms and sacred medicine of the earth, and also the new earth templates and frequencies that are encompassing our bodies and the earth. And she's all the way in Bali at the moment, but we have loved getting to know her. And welcome, Ariel, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you guys so much. It's so beautiful to be back with you again. I really enjoyed the whole summit. Was such a beautiful and amazing experience with so many incredible people. And I just admire so much what you guys are bringing together with all your abundance and connections and your inspiration. And it's so powerful to see that network just growing and spreading, and everyone's just, I think, extremely inspired to feel that there's so many others out there that have the same vision and the same drive to create a better world for the ones yet to come and for Mother Earth. So yeah, really grateful and excited to be here with you for this conversation.
So beautiful.
My goodness. So, Ariel, what are you doing in the beautiful Bali, the land of the gods and the goddesses? Let's start with where you are now. I mean, you were over here in Australia not long ago, been connecting with family, and now you're over in Bali doing some really beautiful work. And, there's this connector in you as well that when we were chatting, you're like, oh, I've got this friend here and here. And it's like, yeah, all these cool people you meet. Like, what are you up to over there? Let us know.
Yeah, well, I suppose you could say I kind of got guided to come here quite a while ago. I was actually supposed to be here in February, and a few things the universe held out, and it was like, well, that wasn't the right time to come. So I rescheduled my trip, and lo and behold, a whole bunch of other amazing humans that I was obviously supposed to be connecting with were all coming at the same time. And so I've got, I'm doing a little bit of space holding. I've got a beautiful ceremony on for a really special brother this weekend, which I'm looking forward to holding him through his journey. And I've also got a couple that I spend a lot of time with in Australia, and we've both got very aligned visions. So we had an amazing day together yesterday, just really talking about some huge projects that are, not only can support hundreds of people to have more sustainable and abundant lives, looking after Mother Nature as well, but like actually changing landscapes, geological shifts in ecosystems and stuff by supporting the earth to reroute channels of water and, a way to kind of regenerate the land and regreen arid environments. And it's so powerful. Like I don't have a massive skill set in such areas, but I'm into permaculture and deep ecology, and they're all, so aligned. So when you get some incredible minds that do have the same vision, the ideas that come out are just mind-blowing. And I just said to him, wow, I'd love to make a mind map of what you're talking about. Should I get the recorder? And he's like, don't worry, I've got it all recorded. You'd really like to make a mind map, like just the gratitude that anyone else is interested in our visions. And then I said to his girlfriend, well, she's a tech wizard, and I was like, well, I need you to find the technology that I need to create this. And she's like, yeah, but they've never talked about doing that. It's like, and that's where we need networking is like, and that's what I love doing is, and that's why I love mind maps, because it is like the visual network of how everything works together. So we can look at that, and I do that with humans and connections and creations as well. So as soon as I get something that inspires me, I want to, take it to the next level so that I can connect all the people that are needed to bring it together. And one thing that is just, it's kept coming and arising again and again. I know I'm going off topic, but if we speak our vision, eventually we're going to say it to the ears of the people that it's going to trigger a response in, and they're going to be like, oh my God, I feel you. I've been waiting for this. Like, I've got this shared thing that's like so in alignment, but it's like these key complementary aspects that are needed to then make it like get off the ground and start moving. So I feel that Bali is called me here to kind of be able to sit really in my creation space. I've been putting together the website for my new baby, Mazara, with my business partner, which is going to be launching at the end of the month, which is super exciting. I might be hosting a small retreat here in July that's going to be, a very intimate circle, and it's going to be really about nourishing ourselves, a lot of deep diving, connecting, some small micro dosing, and just like really connecting into the energy of the space and the land. I'm also looking at land at the moment. So I'm looking at some beautiful places to lease or to buy, and I'm doing all the research about the, rights and ownership and all the different kinds of visas and stuff like that, so that I could set something up here a little bit more permanent. It's very accessible to Australia, and it's so abundant, and I've always had a really beautiful affinity with the Balinese people. I've been coming here since I was 13, so 27 years. And yeah, I've watched it grow from little tiny villages into this mass thriving place with developers and Instagrammers, and it's just such a hub of people from all over the world, and their level of food and dining, and amazing vegan restaurants. Not that I'm vegan specifically, but really healthy and gourmet food that is just so organic and fresh, and it's so abundant, the land here. I'm also exploring out to the eastern islands a little bit further than I've ever been before later in the month. So that's exciting. Getting lots of massages. Being a therapist myself, Bali is really the place that I come to give myself that R&R. So it's pretty much a massage every day or every second day. Occasionally there's 2 a day. And just like doing a real health kick, lots of fresh food and lots of meditating, and just like really sinking into myself again to find that creative flow that sometimes when we're rushing through life and in the grind and with all the responsibilities of home and friends and loved ones, it's easy to get pulled out of alignment with our purpose, because we're just so encompassed with everyone else's existence as well. So sometimes, dislodging from Facebook and just having some real like blackout the computer time. So yeah, that's kind of why I'm here, and it's beautifully in flow, and everything's just happening, not putting too many kind of ideas about how or what I should be doing, just kind of waking up every moment and seeing like, where is my attention going today?
How beautiful. I'm just in awe here. I'm like, I planned a trip to Bali a year and a half ago, and a series of unfortunate events meant that I didn't end up going, being at the airport on the day of departure and then being told I couldn't go. And I was like, no, I worked so hard and I saved up money because I hadn't done any trips. And it's like, I'm doing this, I'm going on my own. And I was so excited. I got there, and because of I didn't know anything about the visas, because I've never really traveled or known any of those minute details that they don't tell you when you book, but it is what it is. And it wasn't meant to happen that particular day. But my passport actually expired 3 days before the 6-month minimum. And I had no idea. I'm like, but I can't even renew it because I've only literally just got the message saying that it's coming up for renewal. How are you meant to renew it when it's not expired? And I was like, I booked this trip. So it was completely not meant to be, and all of that was just disappeared because it was all late bookings and all of that sort of stuff. And I was like, oh, so need to go. I actually have a book sitting here that I've just moved to my desk from a bookshelf in another room. And it's like, I have to read that because it was the book that was set in the exact place and location that I was meant to go. And I haven't read the book because I'm like, no, I was meant to read it in Bali and I've just moved it to my desk today. So the fact that you're talking about Bali and actually coming from Bali is like, oh, I need to go.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear that. It actually happened to the guys and the couple standing in front of me when I was checking in to come to
Mm,
Bali. Time. He had a 5 day, it was almost exactly the same. And I was a travel agent for 2 years in Sydney, and it happened many times that, sometimes a
mm,
good agent, you tell them, it's also on the paper, but not everyone, gets it. And also many travel agents don't advise their clients either.
mm.
So I'm so sorry that happened to you. What a disappointment. So obviously
Oh,
the
it's all right.
time when you go is going to be exactly the right time. And if I can support you
I
in
did
anything you want
I
to.
did sneakily go home and go, oh, maybe the plane was going to crash and that's why I wasn't there. It didn't, and I didn't wish that upon anyone, but I was like, maybe I was just being saved from something. And I then watched the news for that, which I don't even like watching the news, but that's how um, unfortunate those series of events were. But I knew that they were all meant to actually be. So it's perfectly fine. It was missed for a reason, and other things came out that were meant to happen instead. And that's fine.
Is Bali still going to be the first spot on your list?
Oh, there's a few for this year actually that have come into the field that potentially, yes. There's somewhere tropical that's coming up very soon, that's for sure.
Maybe Flea's coming to join you in July.
Maybe.
Okay.
If you'd
Um,
like a bit more about that, you just let me know, sister.
I loved it. I went in August and it was never on my agenda to go. And then a friend of mine, my past mentor, was like, we're having a quantum high priestess initiation retreat. And then something inside me was like, you need to go to this. Like, I don't know how. I don't know how. And I had beautiful sisters, help me get there as well. And it was at a time which was like such a critical, pivotal, transformative time, even in my relationship. Um, but I was still called to go. And the benefits of that have now unveiled. But during the time, it was like one of the hardest decisions to still choose me and to do the thing. And I loved the land, and there was just so much remembrance that came through, and the exploration and the sacred sites and just the deep journeying as well. And I know the dragon realms, even before going to there, started awakening more with, like, breath work or visions, or when I'd meditate, I would have my dragon kind of come through, and he told me his name, and there was like, you got to go here. And when I got there, it was like this beautiful unveiling of a ritual and a process I had to do that was just for me. And even when I sought advice from other sisters that were there, they're like, you'll know when you know. And then yeah, I did, and a lot of it was like really sacred um, work internally, and also gifting to the land, and gifting to the energetics of the sacred site. Um, and there was like this whole release and process there. So there's so much beauty, and I suppose in any land that we're called to go to, that whether it's the shore or whether it's like a desert, or you know, something magical happens not only with the people, but also with the land and the earth as well. So I know you're deeply rooted in this wisdom. And was it always, I know we've had chats, but was it always that way for you, Ariel, or did that evolve over time in your awakening, and that depth and enriching in your journey?
I would say it's something that I've probably been raised. My mum spent her pregnancy traveling around Australia and living in a car and living, as a little gypsy. And we can kind of continue to travel a lot. When I was 3, we traveled around Australia again, a lot of sleeping out under the stars and, living in tribe, kind of hippie tribe back then. And I was very lucky and fortunate to have a very like earthed and grounded childhood. I went to a Steiner school, so I was encouraged to, be very connected to the earth and nature and all the, the energies that we have at play amongst our, 3D reality. There's this whole other layer of existence with all the, the sacred little spirits of everything that lives has a sentient, energy. And I started traveling, with my mum, took me overseas. We lived in Mexico, we lived in India, um, traveled a lot all around the world. And when she retired when I was 13, I decided I was going to keep going. And then when I was 16, I took off for about a year and traveled around Europe. And, it was very beautiful kind of living, in a way that I was a very free spirit and have often sought to be amongst kind of more local people as opposed to rolling in the tourist crowd. And when I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East and a lot of time in the desert and time with Bedouins, and I had a business in Egypt for 3 years, importing stuff to Australia. And in my time there, I think there was some really, really deep layers of, when I was in deep solitude in the desert, of reconnecting with the earth. And I had some really pivotal kind of life transformation, kind of awakenings through that time of my life. And from then, I would say, since my time in Egypt, it's just kind of landed more and more. And that was probably about 8 years ago. And so yeah, Egypt and the Middle East are really strong points for me. All around the Mediterranean I love, but getting more off the beaten track is definitely really cool to me. Even now, like I'm in Bali, but I'm outside Ubud. It's like a 20-minute ride in, and I'm staying in a beautiful kind of place that's, it's a family compound that's just got the most incredible architecture and buildings, and they've been silversmiths for 100 years, and it's stunning. And I feel like, for me, if I'm going to go to a place, I want to immerse myself with the people of that place and the culture of that place and eat their food. And it's like, if I'm going to do it, I might as well stay in Australia and just go to an Indian restaurant or an Indonesian restaurant or something and get a beautiful villa in Australia. I mean, it's a lot cheaper to do that here, but I like to feel that I'm immersed in the country that I'm visiting. So yeah, the call of the land is really powerful. And I actually had a vision, I think it was in about February, and I was in the forest and I just like got slammed by this vision of being in the white desert again. And it was like a new moon and the stars were just like raining down on me. And I was like in a medicine journey with a group of people. And I was like, oh my God, I have to go there. And I knew October's a good time. And there was a new moon on the 3rd of October. I was like, oh my God, I have to be in Egypt then. Because the whole kind of feeling around the vision was that we were there to kind of support the earth with the hydration that's in our vessels, like in our physical vessels, and our love to give to that point in the land at that time. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I have to organize to run a retreat there. And 2 days later, my business partner from way back when, or my associate, called me up and he's like, how you been? I haven't talked to him for like 2 years. And him and his wife are both archaeologists, just the most amazing people. And he's like, yeah, I just started a luxury tour company a year ago and it's going really well. And keep thinking, when are you coming back to Egypt? And I was like, well, actually, how about we have a conversation? So within a week, we'd like planned 3 tours, three trips. So I'm kind of aiming towards that. And I've been building the website and it's just so beautiful. And I'm just like so inspired and everything. I'm just like all the beautiful places that I went, I'm just like so excited to take people on these journeys, like to go to the Sinai Desert with the Bedouin people and just like really connect back in with the land, like in a really deep and powerful way. And Egypt's a place that it is a beautiful place and it can feel daunting and dangerous. And it is actually like, when I was there, I never left my hotel room by myself without him or without someone, unless I was with the Bedouins and then I was like under their protection. And I've so many friends that have like always said, "Oh, you're so brave," and they're this and that. And it doesn't feel brave to me. It just feels like I don't have a choice. It's like I'm being called. I need to show up. I don't know why, but obviously there's a remembrance. And when we walked these lands, we're actually like fully taking in codes. We're reactivating parts of our DNA so that we can remember lifetimes potentially, or our ancestral lineage that's come from those places, so that we can fully embody that information and activate these deep, deep parts of our genetic coding to embody our gifts in a greater way, to be able to serve in a greater way. So yeah, then there's probably going to be South or Central America towards the end of the year and into the early part of next year. So I feel like this is part of, I'm kind of running retreats. It's just really a cover for me doing the New Earth networking, because in those journeys and those walking those parts of the land is how I'm going to be networking this New Earth. And I'm just one little ant in that giant framework of what that actually is. And yeah, I feel really blessed and grateful to know my purpose, and deeply honored, every time I meet a soul that is like, feels that calling to be in service. I've just met another incredible guy that I'm just like, I haven't actually met him in person, so I'm going to meet him when I come back to Australia. And we've got so many alignments that just like pop, pop, pop. It's just like, it's so exciting. And I just feel that like that force of source energy just pour out of me. It's like I can't sleep sometimes because I'm so energized about, what's happening, what's coming forward. So yeah, trusting the process, no idea what's going to happen. I'm just letting go of all expectations.
No, that was those 3 cards I held up too, that trusting the process, that crown chakra, the higher forces that are coming through, like, yeah, okay. And that's that intuition, and the accelerated motion that you're talking about is those beautiful grids and those connections that we all get to experience a lot, with a lot more clarity, I feel, in this coming time.
Totally. Yeah. There's definitely like really easy access now. I feel the people that are wanting to kind of work on those upgrades and like level up to their highest potential, if they put their energy and their commitment into that space now, it's like it just happens so fast. It's like it's really a point that we're at. It's just a decision now. And if we just kind of surrender into the chaos that's around us, or into each thing, like going, what's in this for me? Like every challenging situation, everything that we think is there to knock us down or to make our life hard, fully trusting and taking and going, what haven't I seen? What is there to look at in this moment that I can elevate? Like, what haven't I got yet? Give it to me more. And I feel like it's like we're running into this, like, come on and bring it, because I don't have much time to waste. So bring me the hard stuff, because I'm ready. I'm ready as ready to ever be. So yeah, it is a lot of trust and surrender. And every time we feel resistance, that's a lesson for us to just kind of take another step in faith into the abyss of the unknown and just let go and see what arises.
Yeah, it's so true. And this is such a beautiful conversation. I feel like everything is perfectly timed, even in the chaos and the unknown. And even this conversation has led beautifully from our previous guest as well, who has a vision on her heart too. And I think one of the last comments that she made was about, investing in entrepreneurs and people that hold this vision, not only for the people, but the land. And that's kind of where we ended it. And we've just continued this beautiful piece about, the earth and recoding, rewiring, not only for her, but for our bodies to anchor in and have the container to shift when we then, bless the other spaces we get to be in, because our energy is so, so powerful. And when we come together in collective, like you said, when you feel the calling to do things, and even for us, Flea and I, like, okay, these summits, we're doing these summits, but then this is part of the puzzle. This isn't a forever thing. We've been called to do these events for this year, and if it unfolds to something bigger, better, different, then that's okay. And we just keep leaning into that calling and questioning and then taking action and bringing the people in. And I feel like, a lot of the visions that you've had, I'm tapping into more amazing people who have these same visions, and they're in different parts of the world, like envisaging, travel, land, like beautiful temples or schools or places or retreats that are immersive. And it's not just about going on a retreat to have your massage and do the touristy things. It's about all of the work that you've been called to do, what we've been called to do. And it's more than just being there. And it's also just being there, which is this beautiful polarity of trusting what's coming from the heart, the calling, this nous, it's Nous, this inner essence that is leading spirit, leading your soul. And I love that we get to talk to people like yourself and really anchor and invite more of these conversations and more of these like lenses of like, oh, okay, well, what if I went on a retreat and it wasn't just about all the commercial things? What if it was more, And that unveiling process is so powerful and exciting and scary all at once.
Yeah, we really face the darkest parts of ourselves sometimes, especially when there's like that intentional work with the plant medicine. It can be so intensely terrifying and also liberating at the same time, because we have to come into that space of facing our darkest fears, like our deepest suppressed, most kind of shut away parts of our being that we haven't wanted to face, because it can be terrifying. But that is part of coming into unity, is that like really acknowledging and facing those shadow aspects of who we are, of what's going on the earth, like what's happening really in the highest levels of power that are controlling this matrix that we're existing in, and what we've given consent to for thousands of years, without many people, without even having any awareness that that's happening. And that's what the medicine does. It really pulls back rips back that veil, sometimes quite aggressively, because time is of the essence. And there's so many people that have got gifts that are needed on this earth for what's to come. We need everyone to be activated in their passion and what they have to offer, their medicine. Like each and every human being is such a powerhouse, and everyone has their own signature of medicine. Like I say to people, like when I hold space, it's healing me. It's the honor is mine, to be holding them in sacred space. It's like my own evolution through their experience. So it's like, I honor them for their courage, but really it's like every time I do a process with medicine and even without medicine of holding space for people, it's like it activates more awareness in myself, and it helps me to believe even more in the capacity of the human. And I think many people are terrified of what it means to fully take ownership and responsibility for their own lives, because once you wake up, you stop operating in victim mentality or like holding other people accountable for your own situation, and the realization that we are so powerful. But first we have to take ownership and claim our sovereignty as a human being, as a divine vessel, a divine like expression of the creator consciousness. Like we are just one, and we all have each other as mirrors to see. And it's like, thank you to everyone that gets to stand before me, and I get to stand before them to show me more and more of who I am and the capacity. Because once we do keep coming more and more together, like, the power of that is people with passion in their heart. Few people have changed the world, through courageous action. And courageous action is what is needed now. And I see you two as like leaders. We're stumbling along, all of us, like we're trying to be leaders by living example, and it's the way that we see leadership is changing now. We've had this top-down hierarchy. Authority is like being dictating the way that everything should roll out, and nature should like cop a beating, and like the way we should exist for so long. That idea of these emerging leaders, it's not that we need to micromanage or control or anything. We need to believe in each other. We need to show each other that we've got the capacity, and that we might be afraid and we might not know what to do, but if we all support each other and we, you know, give each other the belief that we can, then we will, because that's what leadership is. It's leading by example, and giving the people that follow you the belief that they have the capacity to do the same thing, you know. And that's what makes people want to follow a leader, you know. The best leaders were the most, you know, loving and supportive. Even like in the military, you know, we look at those people, it's because they're men, you know, for the greatest armies, because their people believed in them. That's why they're following the death, you know. And obviously we don't obviously want to have to do that here, but let's follow each other to life, you know. Let's choose life in this world, and all things nature, and all things that support life. And at the moment we're following a system that supports destruction and sickness and isolation and distortion. And, you know, that's what this movement, this new earth movement, is moving away from and stepping away from. It's bringing everyone back into this unity consciousness of I'm one soul, and every other living being is just as valuable as me. Like there is no, not even an ant is less valuable than, you know. If anything, it's more, because it understands nature and it doesn't impact the earth in a negative way. So, you know, I want to make a difference. I've been talking to the people here in the community that I've been talking to about land, and I'm like, I want to find a community that wants to receive support, that wants to be involved, that wants to work with me to clean up the local environment. You know, it's like, can we walk away from this earth knowing that we've left a positive impact, and that we've improved and we've supported? Because, you know, I think many people don't want to get to the end of their life and think, well, what have I really done for society, for humanity, for the earth? Because we never know when we're going to die. I could die tomorrow, and I want to die in every moment knowing, well, I've done the best that I could, and hopefully I'm going to be going back like I did better than I could have ever imagined, you know. And what about you two?
So much of that. So much of that is like you're just, you're mirroring exactly, you know, the sentiments that we are aiming to build and grow within this business. So in that sense, yes, we are leaders in driving this forward as in whatever way we possibly can. What you said about the mirrors and that reflection, like, thank you for all that I am, but it's also all that you can be, that I love in that perception. It's like the minute you see every single person that comes into your field as some part of yourself, whether it's, you know, an opposition or a reflection of your sheer beauty or whatever it is that you're seeing with them, it's that indication as to what you can be as well. It's like, yes, you get to show, oh yeah, that's me. I've got these judgments. I have these shadows, or, you know, whatever learning you want to take away from it. But that absorption, that embodiment of, now where can I take that? That's that trust and that faith in humanity. Is like, okay, I can see now all of these people that are coming into their awakening. I keep saying awakening. And, you know, like, it's beautiful and confusing at the same time, because you can get stuck in shadows. You can get to a point and it's like, okay, well, I can't be all of that. I can't, you know, the can'ts in our head. But we get to see that through the people that we're around, and sometimes they support that. So I guess like that, all that I can be, for me, is like the real impact of those mirrors. Is like, I get to see in Marie, you know, that leader, that person that gets to speak up and that holds the room and the attention. And like yourself, you know, like, wow, like you're just living the dream right now. And that sounds like the reality I want to be a part of. And I guess like when we look at these reflections, like similarly, like we get to be this because we're all trying to build what it is that we want to see in our lives. And when we come together on that, and that's, I guess, the whole point of all of this, is we can quantum jump right now, because the prediction is literally just being in the moment, all of us consciously thinking this is what we are creating, because that is our possibility and potential.
Mm.
And like, it's, I wrote it down before we started this. Prediction is when you're highly likely in the present moment of choice to move into creation. So when you know the intention behind the choices you are making in every single day, in every single thing, like the mundane, sitting down to have this conversation, do I stay quiet? Do I, do I speak up? Those things that pop into our heads in those internal moments that should be spoken out loud. Like, it's as simple as that choice that then directs the conversation a different way. Or, maybe you're going to the shop and you choose to go to a different shop. That creates another cause of events and chain reactions of people that you interact with. And when you realize that choice, that there is the impact of those good things that happen, or the impact of being in the right place at the right time. If you don't go out, you can't find it. And for me, this is something that's been pushed at me. It's like, you get out of your own way. Just get out of your own way and let it happen. And it's the same, like, that concept for me is, I refuse to leave my house. How can anything good ever find me if I'm always hidden in my house? Those quantum decisions, those jumps, is what shifts the world. So, choosing to quit my job and start the business with Marie, and then to speak at these events, which I wouldn't have even thought about years ago, has quantum jumped me into a timeline that is completely different from anything that I ever expected before. And that power is in that vision of that awakening that everybody is speaking about, in this, coming into self and into realizing that everyone here is for us, that we're all the one. We all want to live the same way, and just be celebrated for just the fact that we get to live. Like, how cool is that? We don't have to fight. We get to live.
Yeah.
And you just think, like, souls are lining up to come to this planet, and like, what a gift that this beautiful earthly dimension gets to have every type of consciousness available in every extremity that we get to experience, and what a gift that is. And I think about, the beautiful celebrations, the joys of what, we've done in less than a year. Like, we've done such beautiful work in connecting with people like yourself, people around the world, by just talking and sharing our voice. And at the same time, I am in, like, 21K worth of debt because I've chosen these beautiful sacred yeses that have expanded me. And to also know that this experience of feeling the extremities of what scarcity mindset is like for many people on this planet, I've never experienced before. And to know that I still feel safe in the depth of my soul, that I know everything is going to be okay, and that this is for me to understand what humanity is experiencing. Like, I see that as a gift, and I continue to choose it as a gift and an opportunity of deep understanding and feeling. And, even thinking about the day I had yesterday, I was in a school, and this little year 2 boy was getting beaten up by, like, these year 5 boys. And I saw it escalating, and then I broke it up. And then these bigger boys had this little kid, and he, I shooed them away. And I was like, you know what? How can I be an angel at the moment? How can I open my wings and just even put my hand on his back to help him calm, to help him feel the anger? It's okay to feel angry, whatever happened. And just to help calm his nervous system, to tell me what had happened, and to find support for him, and to give him a space to regulate. I don't care if he started or if they started, it doesn't matter. What he shared with me is like, they were choking me. And this is like 7 to 7-year-old, and this depth of chaos, this depth of destruction, like, this mentality of part of humanity that we see on the news, we see in other parts of the world, you see in schools. It's like this lens for me is a gift of like, how do I get to help, I suppose, heal and soften that even by my presence of just seeing him and knowing that he's not alone.
Yeah.
And it's like these micro moments and these macro moments and holding the vision for humanity, for the earth. Like she has held so much for us and unconditionally, if we imagine, if those listening, imagine Mother Earth as this beautiful, big, loving soul who has been raped and pillaged and taken advantage of and stripped away, but she is still flourishing. She is still growing and she is still holding us. Like you were saying, you have this beautiful capacity to hold for the people you work with. It's like, how can we learn from her and hold her in our micro, macro moments, right? Anyway, I diverge, but that's where I go in my tangents. But yeah, this
It's
piece around
awesome.
life,
Yeah, it is. And, there is so many people with their head in the sand about what's going on. And it's like we choose as human beings what we fill our time and energy with. And unfortunately, there is the masses that are still kind of plugged into the mainstream and they still believe that what they see on TV is an honest source of information. And it's totally, driven by this agenda. And it's the same agenda that people that are trying to get, a cashless society and a one world government and this, digital identification that's going to manipulate and control the way that we exist as free human beings. And, people don't even realize that they actually can get their house title back on a piece of paper. There is ways that you can have full autonomy of your license, of your birth certificate. And there is a huge movement, and in Australia, as well as many other countries, of people claiming back their sovereign power and making a clear decision to not participate in a corrupt society that is fed by manipulation and money and power. And there is very few people right at the top that are dictating the way that humanity and the earth are going to be walking into their future. And unless as individuals, we decide personally that we no longer choose to support that, well, then, that's the path that you're going to be walking. And eventually there's going to come a time when you're so deep in it that it's going to be very hard to extract yourself from that. Meanwhile, the people that are awake and are aware and are wanting to choose to be in service to humanity and to the earth know that we have the capacity. Like, we survived for hundreds of thousands of years. The Aboriginals were in Australia for, I don't know what it's like, 50 million.
65,000. A kid corrected me. I was like, 60,000. Like, no, it's 65. Like, that's epic, right?
Crazy. I said million, but I'm totally not good. My math's right. But and they never had a top-down authority like government. Like, they didn't even have infrastructure. So yes, there's this kind of, oh, but we don't want to go back to the caveman style of living if we walk away from the government. But actually, it doesn't need to be like that. We have different types of technology. We have more and more technology, incredible minds creating the most advanced, light and sound and, energized technology, which means that we can move stuff and we can travel and we can transport things. We're going back more into this time of like Atlantean technology as opposed to Neanderthal existence by taking an independent step outside, of those systems that are there to oppress and keep us in the dark, because we're living this 9-to-5 grind, which doesn't allow time for us to do our exploration, to do our spiritual and emotional evolution, to really step into our gifts and our purpose, because we're exhausted and we come home and we're bombarded by all this false narrative that is putting us in a fear and hopeless mentality. And if you turn it all off and you just sit in stillness. First, you face yourself, and then you realize what's actually going on around you. And you see people that are actually operating in a fifth dimensional reality right there on Earth. And then you look on the other side, and you've got people that are living in a 2 and 3 dimensional reality of hell. And they're coexisting. So it is really a choice point. It's like, where I put my time and my energy in this moment is creating the tomorrow that I'm walking into. So what is my decision now in this moment? Maybe it's just to be present, but maybe it's to have a conversation about your hopes and dreams, because while we're reliving dramas where we're voicing this and all that, and sometimes we need to have a little bitch and get it off our chest, but then let's let it go. You know, one of my half brother's mother, who's a shaman and a midwife, the other day was telling me a story of the native Indian women. And I don't remember if this is a specific tribe, so it's a bit general from my memory, but she basically said they have this thing is that when you have a story, you know, a drama, you're allowed to tell it once at the fire when they're gathered in circle, like in the evenings, and you get to tell it from the aspect of the 4 directions. So, you know, well, this is what happened to me, this is what I've learned, you know, from the 4 different kind of perspectives. And you're allowed to tell it once, and then you let it go. And if you fall into story again, everyone at the fire gets up and leaves you there alone, and they go and sit at another fire. So, you know, we can hold space for people, but it's also a point of choice for us is like, well, when am I holding space, or when am I just like actually not assisting them in moving through it by continuing to like be a kind of dumping ground. So it's like in every moment we can say, well, look, you know, I can see that you're suffering, but actually what are you choosing to do to move through it? Or is there a way that I can assist you? Because I also don't want to stay in that frequency with you now, and I would love to see you move through it. But if you're choosing to stay there, then I honor that for you, but I'm also going to go and do what I need to do for myself, which is to be in a different energetic frequency right now. And there's also us, like I want my friends to pull me up if I'm behaving in a way that isn't of a high vibrational standing, because I know enough of myself now that I can say things and act in a certain way, and then as it's happening, I'm witnessing it and going, okay, I'm going to change. Let's just pause that. Let's just take a breath and like, let's start again. Because with that self-awareness comes that self-responsibility. It's like I'm creating that energy force that is emanating from me. And that is the reality that I'm walking into, that frequency of what our actions, our thoughts, our words, our feelings, you know, how we, like you did with that little boy, how are we bringing love and compassion and empathy into everything that we do, even if it's talking about the most heinous, you know, horrific genocidal things that are happening, you know, and things that are going on that it's just like, it's so far beyond our imagining to really get our head around it, but it's happening. And instead of putting our head in the sand, it's like, well, if I don't have the power to change something immediately or to take an action or be part of a awareness group or spread like, you know, action orientated things, well, then what can I do to create a situation over here that is going to rectify what's going on over there, you know, by creating safe, sustainable places for the people that are in my vicinity. Like if we're not out on the Freedom Flotilla taking food and provisions to these people or getting in rallies, then let's pour our energy into creating a localized community that is self-sufficient, that has its own abundance, and connecting with our community, because there is warriors on the front line. My adopted brother, who I've known since I was 3, he's on that Freedom Flotilla. He's from Mullumbimby. He's been out there for months and months away from his partner and his mum and his whole family. He's got the only thing that's stopping Israel from totally annihilating their thing is that they have the eyes of the world on them. They have so many people from so many countries on board. And it's no longer like, we've got to remember this, all these things that are playing out all over the world, you know, it's not just there, it's all over the world. Most of it you would never see because it doesn't get broadcasted. That's only happening because we have a few people in power that are dictating to their military what they want done. And it's up for each individual to decide if they want to participate in that. And actually it's you can't say it's a country or it's a people. It's not. It's one or two people, right up the very top, even above the governments that are choosing for this to happen. So when do we stop? When do we pull our life plug, our support out of that? And that's scary. When are you going to stop paying tax? When are you going to stop like shopping at Coles and Woolworths and these corporate giants? And if you follow them all to the top, they're all owned by each other. There's like 4 or 6 companies that are all owned by
the same product.
And there's just a couple people above that own them. So, we have a choice where we put our financial energy, where we get our food from, where we buy our clothes from. They're all choices. And, that is a big thing. It's like, well, I even feel guilty now when I put petrol in my car because I know the reality of what that means. So when I'm over here in Bali, barely moving and walking places and maybe getting on a scooter a couple of times a week if I need to here and there, maybe using like a quarter of the amount of petrol that I would even in a day in Australia, a whole week. Well, I'm feeling a little bit less, it's not so much of a kind of irk for me because that's one less thing that I'm giving my support to them. So it is lifestyle choices, and sometimes it's hard for people to feel how they can fit into that. But it's a growing experience, and that's what we're here to grow and learn.
You just fully brought my morning channel into realization. So the thing I wrote down was that structure doesn't ever change. And the question I had for that was, how do we redecorate and create value within the structure? And pretty much everything that you were saying there, like these structures, we know that wars continue. They keep continuing, and we know that they're coming from a place that is a few people in control. Yet we as a nation do nothing to redecorate the room that we're in. Like if our building is literally walking through four walls and there is your structure, how do you redecorate that to make that accommodate the needs and the health that society needs? Well, you start with the narrative. It's not you against me. It's not them against us. It's not, that person's wrong and this person's right, because everything that anybody ever says is just an expression of their experience. And it's not until we can see that expression as just their experience, then we can stop with the hate and the wars and the crimes against each other, because it's like, okay, well, that's your experience. Thank you for sharing your truth. It's valid. It's your experience. It's not mine.
Yeah.
Okay. And like you said, that story, if we can listen to that story with just empathy and honesty and just know that's their experience. Yeah, I can hear your experience. Thank you for sharing. This was mine. Thank you for sharing. We don't need to agree. We don't have to, do anything other than just go, okay, yeah, I understand. Every single person here is a person here on Earth, that Earth is like our own bodies, and we treat our cars better than we treat our bodies, which is kind of shocking. Like it's especially men, I'm finding it's like, oh, the car is well maintained, it's oiled, it's regular services, its tires are checked and changed. Yet the first point of contact for us as biological machines is food, and yet we're so easily going to dismiss, out of convenience and out of habit and lack of time, the one thing that actually provides us with that health and maintenance we need to be happy in the first place. It's like to have the passions and the desire to do the things you want, you actually have to be physically fit. Most people, it's like, oh yeah, I can retire and then I can do the things. Well, you're going to retire into, a crippled old Datsun or something like that that's been around the bush too many times that it barely rolls. Like, what's the point in that if we can do it now where we're building health? And it is through those communities and that sustainability. It's taking the things that are abandoned and making them new. And that's one of the dreams and the visions I have, is to take old buildings and make them schools. Like
Beautiful.
actually make them something that is transformed in the name of creation and art to be functional, useful, and artistic again. Like not just, okay, we're going to make 4 walls. No, we're going to have, the beautiful nature rooms and soundproof, using things like the beautiful moss and things like how beautiful would that be to have these spaces rather than these abandoned buildings, to be able to merge the nature with this, because this is, even though it's man-made, like our structures, they are man-made, but they're still made of earth, made from earth. And it's when we can put them in combination together, when we can take all of that past and actually fuse it in the, okay, it is this story and that story. I love the and you know, we can put them together. We can take something, oh, this was old, it was used for this once upon a time, now it's not anymore. What else can we transport it into? And I had a geographic I think it was a geography challenge or something for my year 10s, and they had to come up with a tourist trip to a less socioeconomic area and create something that would be sustainable change. So they had to have an actual trip planned that brought the customers, the clients back to create that sustainable income and supply and demand or whatever for that particular area. Some of the things that were coming through these beautiful kids was like phenomenal, using coffee cups to then plant your trees in the area that you can then go back and visit when it's and watch it grow. And, you know, especially in areas where potential like deforestation and stuff has occurred, to have your own little tree or something that you can go and visit. I planted that when I came here on this holiday. It's creating the memory and the new narrative for the story. And this is so easily achievable. Like we've seen the reefs that have been recreated into art that were sculptures that were abandoned in the ocean. Like, why can't we use what is already here and redecorate? Let's change the narrative.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Powerful, powerful shares from both of you. I'm just absorbing it all in, but it all comes down to like communication and connection and just being bold and courageous, like you said. You know, I just talking to people that you never thought you would ask a question to and go, hey, let's have a chat. Or, you know, reaching out and sending an email going, I really like this. Can you tell me more about your summit? You know, and or somebody recommended you, you know, and yeah, it all starts with talking about it. And it's this beautiful ripple effect, this new revolution, and this revolution of spiritual revolution, new earth revolution, the age of Aquarius, you know, all of this golden age that has been destined, you know, that has been foretold, that we get to now talk about more openly and look at the old texts and look at the old architecture. Like you said, that beautiful place you were in was formed, you know, and the architecture and where you are in Bali has been beautifully designed. And then these pieces of like everything is conscious, this consciousness that is weaving through our creations and co-creations, whether it's living or like the objects and the things around us, like it's all got a vibration to it that we as humans have created. And so if we treated it with respect and dignity and take those old buildings and talk to them and go, we're going to make you something amazing. Let's take your old bones and, you know, redesign and make it anew again. Or let's take this land that has ancient
Mary
wisdom.
Miller.
Yeah. Oh, she's beautiful. Take the wisdom of the people and let's talk to them about how they work the land. But let's bring in, like you said, the new technologies of how to make it more efficient. Let's bring in the people from over here to come and learn and grow and then take it back to their parts of the world. Like this vision of
Build the
growth and
community.
yeah, the community side, like the masses, they're coming back with power. And there's those few people in power that you mentioned. I think there's like 10 families in the world that have all the power and money and have made these choices. There's just something that is going to collapse that, and it has again been foretold. And I choose to believe that the goodness of all of the divine everyday leaders, you know, the essence of God is working through that divine chaos to allow the deep learnings to unfold for Mother Earth and for the solar system and for the universe gets to be triumphant. And I think of that triumph card because the whole universe is watching us right now.
Mm.
The souls that are here are masters in what we are doing. And we're remembering our mastery. We're remembering our power and our essence and our gifts. And I just got goosebumps. And like
Yeah.
these gifts you were talking about, Ariel, like tapping into the people, like our children, our teens, our future generations will inherit. They will inherit an earth that
Mm.
is beautiful
Mm. Yeah.
because we've done it before.
We just shut up and start learning and stop trying to program them. They've actually come here with all the information and wisdom and knowledge needed, and we just have to keep them safe, and we have to put all our programming aside and just open our hearts to them and actually learn something.
Mm.
Mm.
And you just have to imagine how beautiful it would be with everyone helping each other rather than going, oh, it's not my problem.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
the part of the responsibility is
wow.
people don't really, there's this kind of beautiful vision of, oh, I want to live in community and be like part of this thing. But people don't realize that actually, being part of a community means that we're giving our time, we're giving our energy.
Mm.
No one is getting paid to do the hard work. And that's why this evolution through consciousness and the awakening, it's like the people that are ready are people that have already chosen that they're here to be in service. So they're the people that I find I have conversations with. They've already put their personal, like we all have our own personal projects, but they're all aiming towards a greater service. So knowing that that isn't a financial gain or a power gain for any of us, it's like time and energy for others. It's really to move away from this whole financial structure because it's only money that has been introduced to us that has corrupted and drives us into actual poverty, or into power. It's this kind of, that's where the split happens. And if we didn't use money at all and we just exchanged our gifts and services, and well, there's that thing of how do we travel? Well, eventually we're going to have free technology, so that will be taken care of and we won't all have to feel. But
Well, if there's people that fly airplanes, then they can volunteer, can't they? Like, that's the thing. It's an exchange of service. I love flying. I can take you here. We needed like a directory of, okay, these are the problems. I need to be able to get over to this place. Who can take me? I
And
can
it's
put my
like,
hand up.
why do we want to go? Do we want to go because we just want to lounge around and look after ourselves? Or do we want to go because we actually want to support what's going on over there and have an amazing growth experience and enjoy the time in the process? Because I've done a lot of travel exchange and work away, and I know like when I give my time and energy, like I'm also rewarded, and I'm rewarded through the faces of the people that I'm serving, and that fills my cup more than any lying around on the beach getting a tan. And even though I love doing that, and I do that, I do that in amongst being of service. So it's like, asking every day, how can I be in deeper service today? Without expectation of return, because that's how manifestation works. It's like the more we give, the more space we create for high vibrational frequency, anything to come into our field. That's the transmutation process. That is the art and the universal law of give and you shall receive. So, the more we step out of that me mentality and into how can I serve? How can I give more? How can I be in deeper service? That's when the magic really starts happening, letting go and trusting.
11:11.
Oh,
11:11, as you said that.
Beautiful note to
definitely.
Thank you, ladies. It's been such an honor. I wish I could give you both a big hug, big virtual hug to both of you. And I look forward to seeing you both when I'm back in Australia, which will probably be July some point, later in July. And have a beautiful day. Thank you for all that you're doing. And I believe in you both so much and your beautiful vision and gifts. And I'm so excited to be a part of it and watch it grow and connect in and network and support you in any way that I can.
Oh, bless. Oh, we have loved chatting with you, Ariel. And if people want to connect with you, how can they find you?
Facebook or Instagram is a good starting point. And, I don't always get on Facebook, and I won't kind of just respond to hey, hi. I have hundreds of emails, messages in there, and I really do ask that people read my first post and they'll get a really deep understanding of why I'm here on earth. And if you want to work with me in different ways that we can, or get involved, me to get involved in your projects and assist in anything that is supporting that new earth vision, any kind of projects. It's like I am a networker, I'm here to connect people. So I have meeting people constantly, and I do find the most incredible people and constantly loving to hear people's stories, so I know what their vision is, and I love asking so many questions to get to the depth of the essence of those people and their vision. And from knowing that, that's how I can greater support and network as well. In regards to the retreats and the medicine, well, there's lots of good stuff happening in that regard. I do have 2 business accounts on Instagram, so just drop me a line. Instagram or Facebook is a good starting point. And yeah, so grateful to be here with you ladies. Thank you for seeing me, having me in your beautiful space.
Oh, thank you, Ariel.
Thank you.
And any
Bye,
final
everybody.
Bye. I was going to say, any final card pulls at all, or they're all been covered?
No, we covered all of those, that beautiful union of self that comes into that prosperity. And yeah, like as you touched on right there, when we give, we receive, and it is in the reception of unions. It's the connections we make. Like that's the biggest joy. And I guess the highlight that I know as a teacher is like that celebration when they succeed at the end. It doesn't matter if you taught the kid or not. You can't help but just be in joy of somebody else's success. It's, that's where we need to go. So yeah, I think that's it for today.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you,
Thanks,
ladies. Have a lovely day.
Bye.
Bye.